think we'll make a start. So, good evening to everyone and a very warm welcome. I have met some of you from time to time, but I'm Claire Newton, Dean of Year 7. We're very pleased to have you come tonight to find out about the academic and pastoral care for our Year 7s for this year. We will begin with a prayer. So, in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. This is the Jubilee prayer for 2025, a prayer of hope. God, our loving Father, in this Jubilee year, you remind us of our call to love creation. Help us to work together to replant, renew and repair. Guide us on our journey as pilgrims of hope. Jesus, our light, in this Jubilee year, you remind us of our call to love our neighbours and to set free those who suffer. Help us to treat everyone with dignity, to be fair, forgiving and kind. Guide us on our journey as pilgrims of hope. Holy Spirit, inspiration in this Jubilee year, you remind us of our call to grow in faith and love. Help us to hear you in Scripture, to see Jesus in others, and to be united as God's global family. Guide us on our journey as pilgrims of hope. Amen. I now invite Principal Jennifer Oaten to speak with you.
Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our parent evening this afternoon. It's wonderful to have you here. And can I just get a show of hands who are our new parents? Yep, fantastic. So quite a few, and then some who've joined us from Year 5 and 6. So you're very, very welcome. I hope the first few weeks of Year 7 have gone well. There may have been some bumps, and we expect that. So I'm sure you're guiding and supporting your daughter in overcoming those if there are. If you attended the Parent Sundowner, I hope you enjoyed it and that you got to connect with some of our other families. If you missed it, put it on the agenda for next year because it's always such a great event. This is my 8th year as principal, so I've been through many different situations with students and worked with many families. I also have a son and a daughter who've graduated, my daughter from Santa Maria, so I feel that I do have a fair bit of knowledge that I've gained during my time in this role. So I'd like to share with you 3 pieces of advice to help your daughter succeed academically this year. And the first one I'd like to talk about is the power of sleep. So there's one thing that can improve your daughter's mood, memory, academic performance, their ability to handle stress, capacity to make friends, and their mental health. It's very simple. It's sleep. Many of our students don't get the 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night that they need. Some are barely getting 6. Between sport, homework, social activities, Netflix, family events, sleep often takes a back seat. But a tired brain is a bit like a phone battery that's operating at 5%. Doesn't operate very well and ready to shut down at any minute. So studies show that students who consistently sleep 8 hours or more perform better, make better decisions, and are all-round happier people. So how can you partner with us? We really encourage 8 hours sleep every night. And I'm sure many of you have noticed with your daughters in the last week or 2 that they've been exhausted by the time they get home. So if you can focus on the sleep, that will greatly help us in our day-to-day here at school. The second one I want to speak about is online safety. And as parents, we often overprotect in the physical world and we underprotect in the online world. And protecting our students in the digital world requires the same vigilance as it does in the physical world. We don't let young children wander the streets because of the threat of physical danger, yet we often inadvertently turn a blind eye to what they are doing online and letting our children explore the internet and social media. We really need that partnership with our parents in this space because it is often the school that picks up challenges that lead to online activity. Not so much in Year 7, but as they get a bit older And the regulations or the rules that you put in place at home can really set us up well for success in that area. So putting boundaries around phone use and around laptops is really important. So we would really encourage you to have a hand-in policy of phones and laptops at home to really ensure that students not only are safe online, but that they also get great sleep. So if you could partner in that area, we'd be very grateful. And it certainly helps for a better journey for our students. And number 3, we want you to be learning partners with us. So as in education, we all know that when we have a combination of students, parents and staff, then the educational outcomes are far better. And a student who knows their parents are engaged, whether it's attending events, whether you came to the sundowner meeting others, whether it's checking in on assignments, or simply asking questions about learning, they're the things that are going to help your daughter succeed. And as we know as parents, and I've asked this many times of my own children, how was school today? The answer that we get, good. And that's all we get from them. That doesn't help with their learning. I wrote a blog a couple of weeks ago and I included a whole range of different questions that you can use as a guide to conversations with your daughter. Please don't use them all on the first day. Try and spread them out over the year. But there might be different things that you might be able to use to engage in conversations about learning, about school, that really help you understand. And I think as parents, that's what we want. Sometimes it's just hard to find the in with the right questions. So have a look at the news blog and hopefully there might be some that are helpful for you there. I hope this year's a fantastic year, both for yourselves as parents, but also for your daughters. And I hope that Year 7, the first year of high school, is a great success. So thank you, and I will now leave you with our Dean and also our Deputy to share some further information. So I'd like to invite Jane Kingwell, who is our Deputy Principal of Teaching and Learning, to the microphone. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Jen. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's wonderful to see so many of you here. As a parent myself, I currently have a daughter in Year 6, so I am right in the throes of parenting a tween. I can absolutely relate to the mix of excitement, anticipation, and maybe even a few nerves that come with this transition into high school. Tonight is about giving you the information and reassurance you need to help your daughter through these first steps into high school. I'm going to cover some key aspects of academic life in Year 7 so that together we can work to help your daughter thrive in this stage of her education. So let's get started. This is a really important document. We spent quite a lot of time and quite a lot of research to develop what an excellent learner actually looks like in terms of the habits that they exhibit. So this is part of our vision for learning, which it says at the bottom there is about empowering our learners to develop the mindsets, tools and habits to strive for their own personal excellence. And I do encourage you at any point, feel free to take a photo of any of the slides tonight. This is being recorded, however, so if you do want to watch it back again, you can do that as well. In each year, we try to focus on 2 of these habits in particular, and so those underlined ones for Year 7, we are focusing on being effective, collaborative and independent workers, and we are focusing also on setting learning goals. And a really important way for us to help cultivate these habits is through our suite of Empower projects. In Year 7, they engage with the Seek 7 Empower project, which is a really exciting opportunity for our students in Term 2. Our Year 7s engage in a term-long cross-curricular inquiry-based learning journey, mostly in science and HASS, but it's such an awesome project that we've got maths and we've got English all trying to get involved as well. and really they are answering the big question of how might we use water resources more sustainably. So it involves a number of incursions and excursions and culminates with 4 days, I guess, of passion project time and a showcase that you will be invited to attend. It helps to foster those important skills like collaboration, time management, compassion, initiative, creativity, problem solving, etc. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is homework. Rather than focusing on that word, our teachers have been asked to change the language up a little bit. We often get year 10s who say, I don't know how to revise, my teachers have never told me, which I can assure you is absolutely not the case. But often the work that we are asking them to do at home is actually revision. And so naming it that is something that we're encouraging. So they may have some required revision, or they may have what we're calling applied practice, which is something that they've been taught in class, and we want them to practice it a little bit more at home so they continue to master it. No homework is being given until after camp. And that's because we want them to just focus on settling in, and I know they're probably incredibly tired as well. Once they do start getting some homework, we are asking them to record that in their planner. So please, one way you can engage with your daughter is ask to see her planner, particularly if she says, I don't have anything on this week. We've also asked our Year 7 teachers to be quite explicit with the time that they expect that homework to take, because what we often find with Year 7 girls is something that we thought would take 10 minutes, they are spending an hour on, particularly some of our perfectionist students who really want to do well and will spend well over and above what we were anticipating them to spend. So again, in the planner it should say 10 minutes, it should say 15 minutes, and you may have a daughter who's the exact opposite, and they might need to be spending a little bit more time on the tasks that they're given. Please check, as I said, that planner regularly. Here are just some general study tips to ensure your daughter is making the most of that half to an hour time frame. There are also some fantastic tips on page 12 of her planner, and they have been collated by a group of students. So we said to them, what tips are really helping you? Let's share them with your peers. So that's page 12 of their planner if you want some more tips. In order to manage their study time effectively, organisation really is key. Obviously it reduces anxiety and enables them to focus on the most important aspects of their school life, which is obviously their learning. During our transition period, which is pretty much the whole of this term, or the whole of the year really, and during PCT sessions, which stands for Pastoral Care time, and that happens every Thursday, period 4. We have a program that we work through, and it involves a whole range of activities which Mrs. Newton will talk to you more on, but we explicitly teach them some study skills and some organisation as part of that. This document is in their planner. It's a term planner, and they have been taught how to use that in terms of when their assessments start coming in. It can be really great to see it from a whole term's perspective of when those assessments fall, and help them organise their time accordingly. We'll also show them how to use weekly planners as well, so they can schedule around all of those after school co-curricular activities, and scheduling in important, rest and family and dinner and all of those sorts of things, so they can really see where their time is and how they can use it most wisely. If you find that your daughter does need some extra academic support, there are several resources available to help her succeed. The first one that we really encourage you to do is to consult with her classroom teacher. And I know that you've gone from liaising with one teacher to now a range of different teachers, but I assure you that each of your daughter's teachers is really invested in her learning and would welcome any questions that you may have so that they can support her in their particular subject. We also offer some specialised maths help, which is in the plaza, not one underneath, but two underneath us. And that's on Wednesday mornings and Wednesday afternoons. So if it's maths that you feel like she needs some support with, we have a number of teachers there who are keen to help. Our boarders also have supervised studies sessions with tutors during their structured learning time after school as well. We also have a study skills and organisation program, which I'm going to talk to you about in one moment, which is called Upgrade. Then we have OneNote and Sector. So most of your daughter's subjects will be delivered via OneNote. There is unfortunately no way that we can give parents access to OneNotes, but I strongly encourage you to spend a little bit of time saying, can I see your OneNote for English, or can I see your OneNote for HASS? And they should be able to open it up, show you, and you'll see just how structured their learning is. Often when they are sick or unwell, their teacher will say that they can access any of the work that they've missed via OneNote. So again, ask them to show you, and it'll be set out lesson by lesson, and you can see what it is that they may have missed on that particular day. We also obviously really encourage consistent attendance as being really crucial for academic success, for her ongoing learning and wellbeing. So these support structures ensure that everyone has the tools and guidance that we need, but I wanted to show you our upgrade program. So that blue tile can be found on your daughter's sector splash page or home page. There are a number of blue tiles on there, and they often have lots of really important information. But the one that I wanted to talk to you about now is our upgrade suite of courses. So if they click on that tile, they will go to a homepage which has a range of self-paced modules to help them with a whole range of things. And I've just chosen 4 there that I thought might pertain particularly to Year 7s. So we've got the Study Smarts, we've got Wellbeing, little short courses that they can do, technology how-tos and digital do's. They do access a lot of those little short courses through their PCT time. But a perfect example of this was I had a parent contact me and they said, my daughter has been given her second iMovie assignment, and she's come from a primary, this was last year by the way, she's come from a primary school where they didn't use Apple devices, and she just doesn't know how to use iMovie, and she's really overwhelmed. And I was able to direct the parent to our upgrade course, Technology How-Tos. Pretty much any program that your daughter is being asked to use, we've got a little short course, a little video that they can go through, that you could even sit with her at home and go through all the little tips and tricks and things like that. If you're finding that she's quite overwhelmed with how to use her laptop, the Digital Do's has little shortcuts, little organisation tips for managing the use of her laptop as well. The Study Smarts one has, again, little short course on how to do really good note-taking, how to write a Peel paragraph in English, how to reference correctly. So obviously these things are taught in context by their teachers, but this is just extra support should they need it, or they get home and they've forgotten something, they can always go and check there. Screen time. Jen spoke about this and she kind of stole my thunder because I put that up there and then she spoke about it. It was actually, I'm going to claim it was a quote that I shared with her in my own efforts to navigate parenting my own children. I came across that quote and it actually really did speak to me. And I guess the suggestion is that we've limited perhaps their independence physically to try and keep them safe in the real world, yet sometimes given them near unrestricted access where distractions, harmful content and the pressures from social media, which particularly amongst young girls is quite severe. And that can really obviously impact their wellbeing, but also their focus and their learning. So Jen mentioned some of the things, particularly around having a curfew for their devices, upon which they are handed in, not in bedrooms, and those sorts of things. And I promise you, despite how much she will tell you, you are not the only parent enforcing such rules. Small changes in this area can really make a big difference. So we thank you for your support. The last slide from me is really just around how you can be informed about your daughter's academic progress. The first one is through Sector Engage, which you, I'm hoping, all have access to already. Here you can access assessment dates that are upcoming, any results that she has received from any formative or summative assessments. You can access the course programs and any feedback from teachers. So often teachers will write a comment on sector following an assessment that you'll then be able to read. Our interim reports are released early week 10 of this term, and our parent-teacher-daughter interviews are at the end of the long weekend in term 2. I believe that's Tuesday the 3rd of June, and we really encourage you to bring your daughter along to those interviews. We call them our parent-teacher-daughter interviews because we really want them to have ownership of their own learning. And obviously our semester 1 and 2 reports, which come out at the end of term 2 and term 4. Obviously as well, as I mentioned, any specific questions or concerns, we really do encourage you to contact their teacher directly or their homeroom teacher if it's a pastoral matter. Our staff really are wonderful, and they're keen to work in partnership with you. So I want to wish you all the very best for this year. I hope it's a meaningful and a successful one for both you and your daughter. And I'll pass you over now to Claire Newton.
Okay, well, I have just put up a little like a shopping list of what I actually do. I think it's fairly obvious that I look at both pastoral and academic matters for the girls, and Jane has outlined some of the things that we both do, and I meet regularly with both Jane and Danielle Spark, who's Deputy of Pastoral Care, on a regular basis to discuss students and things of need and at point of action when we need to be doing something a little bit extra for support for students. So there's quite a few things there that are part of my job, and it's a really wonderful job. I'm just very slowly getting to know all the girls. I have 2 Year 7 classes, which is really great. They are bursting out of their socks to just take everything in and just love the learning and thousands of questions, and they're just so willing to learn, which is absolutely wonderful. Our mercy value this year is compassion, which is really a good one for our Year 7s. So our theme for the year is I Belong, and that sits alongside the value of compassion, where we expect and encourage our students to be kind to each other and have empathy for their peers as they work together with open hearts and minds. Being connected and welcoming in a compassionate community is important for each individual's well-being, and it just builds a very strong connection of belonging to their cohort, which is really what we want them to do. Year 7s belong to a homeroom, a house, a core group, electives and co-curricular groups. So they're actually involved in a whole range of different groups. They are constantly meeting new students in each of those groups, and they're also working with a whole range of different teachers as well, which is fantastic. Here is the homeroom team. I'm sure that you have already met many of these people, perhaps at the transition program and the Welcome Assembly. They have worked really enthusiastically at the beginning of this year. The transition program in the first week was really great for them to get to know your daughter. So we have, particularly in Corbett, we have 2 homeroom teachers who are sharing the homeroom, and all of those homeroom teachers will be on camp with us as well, which is really great. So I'm very appreciative of the work they're doing, and the homeroom teacher is actually your first port of call if you have any queries or any concerns about your daughter, and then obviously I will be involved, and then we will need the other staff that we need to speak with to help things along the way. So in supporting your daughter through this tricky time, for many of you, parenting an adolescent is familiar territory. For some of you, when Jen asked the question, it's a brand new stage for you. So either way, it's a big transition for both the girls and for yourselves. And at this stage, I've got the brain is being redesigned, which sounds a bit frightening, but it's not actually, so don't panic. Just thinking that their brains are developing rapidly in areas related to language and literacy and creativity. And you'll notice them moving from the very literal way of interpreting things to being able to see things differently with perspective and deeper meanings. They're also becoming more empathetic, and they're able to understand and share in others' feelings, which is why friendships become very important in Year 7. They're figuring out where they fit and striving for independence. And yes, the hormones are kicking in. So encouraging kindness and compassion and perspective taking will go a long way in helping them navigate this time. One of the best things you can do is support them with structure and balance, and both Jen and Jane have spoken about sleep, regular exercise, and of course they need time to unwind, just to help them manage all the changes that are taking place. A good daily routine with a consistent bedtime, times for homework and social activities gives them a sense of stability, and this is really important for them. I think experience is the best teacher for their students. Letting them experience things, make mistakes, and allowing them to experience failure without judgment means that they're going to learn from this experience and develop the resilience that they're going to need to succeed. So listening to them, particularly when they're feeling frustrated or upset about something that is really important, but give them the space to figure these things out for themselves. Empower them to solve their own problems and conflicts. Often they'll just want to vent at the end of the day, and after having done so, they'll probably feel a bit better and move on, probably a bit like us at the end of some days, I think you might agree. So they need to have really good boundaries and rules, and while they try to push these boundaries, knowing that you will stay firm on family rules and values is actually going to reassure them as they negotiate this world, which for Year 7s can be sometimes a little bit confusing. So a great habit to build on each night is a little bit along the lines of what Jen was suggesting. Simply ask them, what was the best part of your day? What really went well for you? Always focus on the positives first and just encourage that narrative to be at the top of the agenda. Ask them, what's happening tomorrow? What's on your agenda? And then do you have everything you need ready for the next day? And just enjoy this whole process, because Year 7 is going to go by in a flash. The health service team is made up of the people that you can see on the slide. It's a very wonderful group of people. I would just like to say that if your daughter's feeling unwell during the day, she needs to speak with a staff member and go to student services where she'll be able to see the school nurse. If the nurse feels that she needs to go home, she will most certainly call you. But we discourage the girls from ringing home. It's actually a little rule that we like to apply. They should always go to the nurse who's going to manage the triage, if you like, and just actually see, does she really need to go home, or does she just need a 10-minute break and a little rest? There's a great team of staff here to look after your daughter, and this will help in building her resilience if she knows she can approach one of the team and ask for help as needed. She will never not be allowed to seek help if she's feeling unwell, which I think is pretty obvious. The Wellness Connect at Santa Maria, we are committed to helping students build their resilience, confidence and strong connections. We work on fostering a school culture that prioritises mental health and encourages open dialogue and supports students in seeking help when they need it. Wellness Connect, as you can see on the screen, is a repository of resources curated by the college psychologists. It's accessible to both students and parents via the sector splash page, which Jane's mentioned, and it offers access to podcasts, information and self-help strategies, and it's well worth a read for you to gather some very interesting information. So I encourage you to use these resources, and as always, if you or your daughter requires extra help, I encourage you to reach out and speak with me. Co-curricular, that's the appearance of the co-curricular booklet, which is available on Sector. We've got a wide range of co-curricular activities at Santa, and at last week's year meeting, Pastoral Care time, in the forum we had a presentation from the service and co-curricular staff members and some Year 12 students who encouraged the girls to just engage in a range of co-curricular activities, spread their wings, try new things. There's lots on offer at Santa. Information will be coming out shortly on how the girls are to sign up and when these co-curricular activities will actually start. We're giving everyone a little bit of a break to just get them settled into the college before they start moving through and committing to co-curricular activities. Information technology. We have mobile phone policies, and we do expect the students to follow them. The policies are in place for their use, and it's important that they put their phones in their lockers at 8:30 and they don't access them again until 3:20. Students are pretty good with this, and Year 7s are just currently being super focused on this, which is really lovely to see. Emails are a really important communication between staff, students and parents, and we encourage your daughter to check her emails as part of her homework routine. This supports them to develop good habits around email communication, and we do teach them during transition how to actually address an email formally and politely. So I send a week ahead email on a Sunday, and it helps give them important information and shapes the week for them so that they know what's ahead. I'm encouraging them to write an agenda or a to-do list on a Sunday so that they know exactly what's ahead of them for the week. And then on Sunday in particular, it's always good to get their bags packed so that Monday morning when they get out of bed, it's a positive start. It's not looking for the sock or the whatever it might be or the right shoes. They're on target with it. So a few extra things in there. Teachers will always respond, but we have possibly not expected to respond out of school hours. And sometimes a phone call or face-to-face contact is always best, depending on what the actual issue is. So laptops, they are for educational purposes only, and they do belong to the college. We encourage you to place good rules at home for how you'd like your daughter to manage her laptop. We've discussed these things with them during homeroom and also during the transition period. It's also important that your daughter is saving her work to OneNote so that she doesn't lose any material, which can be quite frustrating and distressing for them. This is backed up in the cloud, and please ensure that the laptop is charged overnight, ready for use the next day. We suggest that you should have access to your daughter's laptop, and I always tell the girls that they need to follow our rules at school and your rules at home. Students are also expected to look after their laptops because you are responsible for their repair bills, and sometimes that can be a little bit costly, so encourage them not to pick the laptops up by the screen and to keep their coffee and their tea away from it at night time. Can I just make a comment? Hotmail addresses usually go to junk mail. This is a problem which we haven't been able to overcome, so sometimes we might miss an email from you if you have a Hotmail address. We do check our junk mail from time to time, but when teachers are busy, sometimes these things can slip through, so just be aware of that. Internet use at school. This is something that I want you to be aware of. Santa Maria monitors the students' internet searches at school to filter inappropriate searches with a view to keeping students safe. So this is called the Fast View Alert Program. It sends an alert to the Deputy Principal, Danielle Spark, who then takes action, which is usually ringing me, and then I have to speak with the student and then possibly make a somewhat embarrassing phone call to you. So, Fast View Alert is only available for Santa. You can ask your own provider at home to advise what filters can be applied at home for your daughter's internet use to keep her safe. And I've just put the esafety.gov address in there, which is readily accessible. It's got a huge amount of information on how to keep students safe on the internet. And they've got a lot of programs and useful advice there for you to have a look at as well. So uniform, here we have 3 beautifully dressed girls, summer, winter and sport. Sport and PE uniforms are the same thing. I think I used both terms in an email and some people got confused, but they are the same thing. We've spoken about the sports uniform with the girls and they know what's required, but there are a few basic things just to remind you. The blazer is always the outer garment if they're doing anything formal in or out of school, or when warmth is required. They need to wear their hat to and from school. Simple earrings, just simple gold or silver studs or small sleepers. No gems, stones, pearls, giant gold earrings, long bangles. I think that's weekend wear and I think the girls do know that. Just a simple watch. They can have a gold or a silver chain, but usually with a religious symbol on it. Keep an eye on the dress length. I have a beautiful range of students, some tall and some quite short. And I imagine once winter hits, you will need to check their skirt lengths because their growth spurts are happening already, which is great. But we do have a pretty serious rule on the length of dresses and skirts. We're taking a fairly educational and gentle approach with the girls at the moment. They will start to get infringements, but they're not to panic over those. 3 infringements actually means a detention, but every semester it resets. So I would imagine that when your daughter comes home with her first infringement, she'll probably be horrified. But it's just to try and keep that level of college uniform up to the required standard. So at the moment, Year 7s are all super keen to do all the right thing, which is really fabulous. So far, I don't think anyone's had infringements. And that's my plan, that it stays that way. Okay, here are a few key dates and events. And when I sent out the Welcome to the College Dean letter, I also sent out some dates for you on a sheet, so you can check those as well. But the camp is in week 8. There are 2 groups, 2 camps. 6-7, as Jane has spoken about, happens during term time, and the presentation evenings on the 2nd of July. And then the amazing, wonderful, fabulous Year 7 social with Aquinas is on Friday the 25th of July. And I'm sure as the time gets closer, the girls will be super excited about that.
Yeah, I think there's a little error, unless they're going on camp for a month.
Oh! No, they're not.
Sorry.
Oh, how could I miss that? Goodness. That means we're almost... No, we're not in camp. No, week 8. All right. I'll speak about camp in a minute. The college app. I'm pretty sure most of you have already downloaded the college app. It's the official method of communication from the college, and you can set the subscription to Year 7 or whichever other year group your daughter's in. And this will allow you to just receive only what's relevant to your family in the setting. So you're not scrolling through 7 to 12 looking for the right information. You can download the app from the Google Play search by just searching Santa Maria College, and the app should pop up for you. The app has the most up-to-date information. It's a readily accessible link to the parent portal. It has notifications which you can customise, blogs, calendars, and you can do your absentees there as well. The Knowing Girl blog, which Jen spoke about, contains weekly articles about a range of issues facing adolescent girls, and it's definitely well worth a read. Okay, Camp 1. You will be sent the consent to go documents tomorrow, and I would like you to fill those in as soon as you can, because we are right in the process of organising medication that's required, dietary things that are required as well for the girls. So the aim of the camp is just to develop self-confidence, resilience and independence, and to foster new friendships amongst the cohort and develop a sense of belonging to the homeroom and, of course, the year group. So we're going to be working with Nanga Adventures and Santa Maria staff to care for your students. You can see a range of activities there. There's low rope, zip line, climbing wall, raft building, camp cooking, hiking and night walking and stargazing. So one night they're going to be sleeping in the bunkhouse and one night in a tent. So I'm hoping that that will be super exciting for them and for the staff, obviously. The packing list, I have sent you a packing list already. It's pretty essential that you follow that packing list. It's not overly large, but please ask them to pack mindfully because they have to carry their bags and their packs. Obviously, when they go on the hike to the campsite, they won't be carrying tents or anything like that, and they will just be carrying their overnight supplies in the bag. But do ask them to pack light because it sets out what's needed, and we really don't want them bringing 5,000 things that they don't need. I think that's probably all I need to say for that one there. On day one of the camp, they're to wear their sports uniform with their house shirt, and I only want them to wear this to and from the camp. We certainly don't want them wearing them during the activities, or you'll be overloaded with laundry trying to get the mud and the stains out of it. So please have them arrive by 8:30. They're ready to get on the bus by 9 o'clock. So you can drop them off at the top of the figure 8, and we'll be meeting in homeroom teachers on the chapel lawn, and the homeroom teachers will collect any medication that's fully labelled with precise instructions on it in a Ziploc bag, and that will be given to our college nurse who will manage the medication and look after your daughter during the camp. The nurse will be with us for the whole time. So that's encouraging for those of you who may have some concerns about medication for your daughter. We will hopefully leave by 9 a.m. It's only an hour and a half, 2 hours down to Nanga Bush, and as soon as they arrive, half will be ready to unload into the bunkhouse and the other half will be packing a bag ready to hike off to the campsite. So we split them into 2 groups when we get to the camp. Okay, so while one group is on camp, the other half of the cohort will be at Santa Maria in what we call an alternative learning day. So they will focus on wellbeing, connection and friendships. The very first day will be a range of activities, and they'll be able to sign up for these in a PCT session in a couple of weeks' time when they've all been booked. Day 2 of that Alternative Learning Day program is run by the college psychologists, and it is the You Are Strong program, and the focus is on friendships. Because I'm sure you're aware, the very first thing that happens in Year 7 as they start moving amongst the cohort and finding new friends is that they need to have some skills attached to how to be a really good friend. So the focus will be on friendships. That program, such as the camp program as well, is going to be a lot of fun, and the girls will get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So I know it's been a lot of information for you tonight, but thank you very much for coming tonight and listening to what we've had to say for our Year 7s, and I wish you all the very best for the year. Jane, myself and Danielle Spark are very much looking forward to supporting your girls as they navigate their way through this first semester and the rest of the year. So thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you.